Right, thank you for joining me today. This is a quick video about route planning. Yeah, a few of us are planning a weekend away in mid Wales. We're going to go to the Elan Valley in a few weeks, and I just thought I'd just give you a little bit of an overview of the sort of stuff that I think about when I do stuff like this. And you just caught me doing number one, which is get it on the calendar. Once it's on the calendar, everybody else knows what's happening. If your wife, husband, partner, whatever is like my wife, if it's not on the calendar, it's not happening. So mark it up. Once it's marked up, commit to it. Everybody's going. So we're off to Wales, off to mid Wales specifically. So we hit Google, start looking for some routes. We find some routes. You download them, print them off perhaps, maybe load them onto your Garmin, and you're all set to go. So just for instance, I have kept out of MBUK and MBR a whole load of maps over the years. Quite useful, always a good starting point and an easy thing to sort of share and have a look at and talk to your mates about. So this is basically the basis of our ride on the Saturday, which is from the Elan Valley Visitor Centre, and we've got a route. So in theory, I can take this, I can follow the instructions, I know where the cafe is, I know how to get there, I know what time the visitor centre opens, I know what telephone number is for the visitor centre. This is everything that I need to do this ride successfully in a few weeks' time. Nah, it's not. No. This is a really good start, and 99% of the time it might help. Definitely not going to be enough information. Once you've decided where you're going, what you need to do is you need to do a little bit more exploring. I'll give you an example why. This here is probably 5 or 6 years old. The GPS file you find online probably is also the same file that's probably been rehashed over and over again by a number of people. It might even be something that somebody's just drawn on an OS map and then exported it and put it up there. So that in itself is okay, but it's not going to be good enough. My good friend Tom Hutton here, who's responsible for a lot of those maps that you found in MBR magazine, has got a book, and the route is actually in here that I was just looking at. There we go. That pretty similar, same route is in here with more detailed instructions, more information, including a route profile, which is very handy. Gives you an idea that that first 6 kilometers is uphill. Perhaps don't tell everyone about that. This book is nearly 10 years old, or it actually is 10 years old. Mountains don't tend to move, rivers don't tend to move, reservoirs maybe up and down, lakes, etc. They don't really tend to move around a great deal, so you're relatively safe in navigating using those points. However, things like forests can change, especially in 10 years. A trail through a forest 10 years ago may not exist today. Chances are it's been moved, it's been knocked down, it's been the forest has been sort of knocked down around it and grown somewhere else. So if you're trying to follow a route that's going through there, things change. So what you need to do is to be prepared. If you go with just this piece of information, you need to be prepared. If you get to this point here, what happens if the trail's blocked? Well, joint first with getting it on the calendar, in my opinion, is getting an OS map of the area. There is no better way of getting a good understanding of where you're going than being able to see the big picture. So get a map and spend a bit of time familiarising yourself with it. I write on my maps. I know some people don't like that. They think that's against some form of religion, but I think maps are made to be lived in and written on and drawn on, because that's my notebook effectively for while I'm out. So get a map, familiarise yourself with everything, so that if you do come up to a point and something's changed, you can figure out your way around it. I'm not going to go into how to read maps and stuff in this video. If somebody really wants that, might go into that in another video another time, but generally learn how to read a map and figure out how to get around something if there's an obstacle. Perhaps even think about, while you're planning that route, I've mentioned I've done some mountain bike guiding, and if I plan a route, I should also plan diversions and shortcuts and route backs. So it's a good idea to familiarise yourself, especially if you're going to head 2 hours out into the hills. Finally, what you can do is you can ask social media, forums, Twitter, Facebook, whatever it might be. I'm heading to the Elan Valley next week. Does anybody know X? Now, I did this last week and I got a response back, which was really useful. And that response has told me that there's a diversion here and that this trail over here has changed a little bit due to some farm traffic. So this point here wouldn't have been a showstopper, but it could have been caused a bit of an upset. If we come down this trail and suddenly found that I couldn't go along that side of the reservoir, I might be thinking, well, what do I do now? I don't really want to turn back. This is where a bit of map knowledge is useful, because I know if I can't go across there, then I would just come around the other side of the reservoir. Now that's quite simple in this instance, but if you had to get around a whole forest in some way and there was a hill one side and a river the other, who knows what sort of mess you could be in. And this sounds a little bit doom and gloom, but effectively what I'm saying is, don't just go and expect that that's going to work for you, or whatever you've downloaded on here is going to work for you. Try and get a little bit more familiar with things in the area and just get some up-to-date information. We saw all those floods in Yorkshire a few years ago. We've heard about deforesting in South Wales. It happens all over. Open access can be revoked at any point. It's worthwhile getting updated information. Again, not being sort of doom and gloom, but this is sort of the way that my brain works. Just be prepared. I'm never in the Scouts, actually, funnily enough, but I like to be prepared. So, dib. Give us a thumbs up and leave any comments below if you want to. And if you haven't subscribed, please do so, because so many people watch these videos and they're not subscribed. And it really, really helped me personally and my ego if you'd subscribe. So please do that, and I will see you in another video, hopefully soon, with a few riding videos around the Elan Valley.